Hello.
Well, over here. It's been a while since we've seen you at a pre-fight media day before a pay-per-view. A little, obviously, more than a year. I didn't even think you were a father the last time we spoke to at one of these. So, what are the emotions now leading up to this fight with Mateusz Gamrot?
Man, I'm so excited. Like you said, it's been so long. I had that injury, which was like mentally and spiritually was very hard to get over, and then to finally be here at this moment, I got this weight cut I got to take care of, but besides that, I'm so excited, man. I'm so happy, which is weird because, people, I don't know if people talk about being happy right before a fight, but I'm pretty excited.
You were supposed to headline a fight night against Islam, but now you're fighting on a big pay-per-view main card. It might not be the main event, but is this best case scenario for your return outside of fighting for the title in your return?
On paper, I don't think it's best case scenario. I think in reality, I'm getting paired up with someone like Dustin Poirier, Michael Chandler. Those would have been the best case scenario. But on paper, for me, I think Mateusz is like top 5. I think he's very, very good. So an opportunity to fight someone as good as him is just as good for me.
Well, we spoke to him a little bit ago, and he had obviously praised you and your skill set in there when I asked him about what the strengths you pose, and he said he's just good everywhere. So are you in the same way, Mateusz? Obviously, he has the one loss in his debut, but since then, he's racked up a lot of impressive wins, especially a 5-round win in his last fight.
Say that again?
How would you rate his skill set in there compared to your past opponents?
It's hard to say whether he's the best guy I've fought yet. I'll know after the fight, obviously, but his skill set, his ability to change the pace, go from striking to the ground he's incredible. He has a lot of tools that I think that make him special. He's definitely a championship fighter, so stopping him will be very exciting for me.
You've been asked about this a lot leading up to this. How tired of you are you being asked about the whole backup Alex Volkanovski situation going on?
I'm not really that tired of it since I just found out about it. I've been just processing it. It took a while. I was pretty annoyed about the whole thing, so I took a step back. I put myself in everybody's shoes because calling and yelling at my manager for a while that didn't make me feel better. But here's what I thought about. Volk is pound for pound the king right now, right? I'm correct on that? Yes. And he offered to be a backup. If I was in the UFC shoes, it'd be a no-brainer for me as well. It's not harder to understand why they did what they did. Does it suck for me? For sure it sucks for me, but I understand why everybody did what they did. And with that being said, I just take my focus back to what I need to do, and then that's Gamrot.
Did your daughter make the flight? How'd your daughter handle the whole flight over here?
So we were terrified of the flight. We were like, is this going to go smooth? How is this going to be? And she ended up sleeping most of it. And then once in a while, she'd be like, hey, I want to get up and walk or like walk me around. And I was like, perfect. So I just pick her up and I'd walk around. I hate sitting in the airplane, especially for a 15-hour flight. So every opportunity I got to get up, I got up and I walked around and stretched my legs, and that's all she wanted to, and then she'd just go back to sleep. It was such a great flight that I think our flight back is going to be a nightmare. I don't know why, but that's how I feel.
You mentioned that you've sort of understood and accepted this backup situation with Alex Volkanovski, but does that change if he still leapfrogs you to get a title shot for the winner on Saturday? Will that change your mind? Will you suddenly be like, no, that's not okay?
I mean, it still sucks. Like being backup, losing that position sucks. Losing the title shot sucks. It all is as crappy as it gets. But I understand why they're doing what they're doing, and I understand. My focus is not the same focus as the UFC. It's not the same as Dana's. I understand Dana. His focus is basically for profits, and that's what he's supposed to do for his business. I have a different focus. My focus is I've been given a God-given talent, and I'm not wasting it. I'm not squandering it. I want to fight the best people in the world, and I want to do it as often as I can. So if I can't get the champion, I want another dog after this fight. I want to fight the best guys, and it's that simple.
A lot of times fights are made on storylines in this sport. Maybe you can sort of beef out with Alex over this, and you can fight him when he moves up to lightweight.
Wait, who am I fighting?
You could fight Volkanovski himself.
Oh my goodness, I was talking about him. He's incredible, and for him to come to lightweight I think it's awesome. An opportunity to fight him would be great. Bro, we could do it man, we can do it right after this. I'd love that.
Respectfully, right?
Of course, yeah.
Beneil, last time I talked to you, it was at King's MMA, and it was like 2 days after Gamrot had fought Sarukian, and you were like so blown away by that fight and that performance. How long after that point did they come to you with this offer, and were you, did you take it right away? Was there any hesitation?
So, like I said, I spoke with you, but I also called my manager. I spoke with a bunch of people and saying how great that fight was, and the first thing my manager was like, don't start. Like we're gonna look for someone in the top 5, and we tried. We really tried, but no one was interested, or the UFC wasn't interested. Whatever it was, we didn't get anybody in the top 5. So we ended up I kept waiting, and I asked. I was hoping to fight in August, and I remember Dustin Poirier say he wanted August, and I tried to do that, didn't work, and then I was looking, nothing showed up, and then finally I went to Ali and I was like, listen, I want to fight. We got to make this work. So, and he's like, I don't know. So I ended up calling Sean Shelby, and we literally went through the list one at a time, and we ended up on Gamrot, and that's how the fight happened. And it took a while. Like the day that it was announced was the day I spoke with Sean. Like it was like that. I guess they must have reached out to him the same day, and he must have said yes, and they announced it.
Interesting. Thank you.
Beneil?
Yes.
Over here. Obviously, like hearing about not being the backup fighter, and then hearing that actually you might not even be. Sorry, did you hear that?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, and then obviously not hearing that you might not be next for the title because Alex potentially could get it next. Hearing that a few months before your fight is one thing, but hearing that on the week of a fight must be pretty off-putting. So I just want to know, how have you made your mind refocus on the fight?
Like I said before, I'm a devout, God-fearing man, and what I did was basically put myself in these people's shoes, and then I went back to prayer, and then I remembered that my focus is different than everybody else's focus. I don't look to. The belt is important because it's part of my job, and that's my job is to go for that, but it's not the end of it. So. As soon as I remember that, it was easy to reset and get back into the game.
Hi, Beneil. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Hi, Beneil. Was any part of this camp, did you focus on Charles or Islam? Any part of this camp strategizing the fight if may happen?
Sorta. What I realized was. Thanks to my opponent Gamrot, I have to be ready kind of for everything. And then as far as adjusting for those two guys that you just mentioned, it would be more of a mindset change. It wouldn't be a technical change. To deal with Islam, you would require a different kind of mindset, and it would be different as far as Charles goes. So those would be the adjustments I would make if I had to fight one of them.
Thanks.
Ben here. We know that Mateusz Gamrot is a well-rounded fighter, but as always, each fighter has each weakness, as we call weakness. Where do you see his weakness?
I don't know. I'm going to find out Saturday. The best way to find somebody's weakness is to put some pressure on them. So we'll put some pressure on them and see where we find the weakness, where we find that chink in the armor.
One more. I'm just curious if you, as a lightweight, do you still consider Charles the champion, even though he did come in overweight and was stripped in his last fight?
Yeah, I think he's definitely champion. And the whole thing with like not having digital scales, because the same thing happened to me in Texas. I was in Texas. I weighed in on the digital scale for the UFC, said 156. I went in to weigh in. They said 156.3. So then I had to go lose another 0.3, and then I came back. So, like the whole thing just sounds stupid because there's no way they would let Charles get on the belt without checking him first. The UFC always checks us first. So he must have made weight before the UFC let him on, right? So I don't know. I think man, the guy we had in Texas, he was like he I don't know, he's kind of a drama queen, you know. He was like like the show wasn't about him, you know, and he was making it about him. So I think that's why digital scales are important.